Okay, students, welcome to this demonstration. What we've got here is a side of pork. So there'll be two of these on a whole pig, one each side. Okay, these stamps here are what they do at the abattoir. It means that they've been inspected and they're fit for human consumption. Okay, now if you look, it's hard to see, but if you look very closely, there's a little slit in the pork just there. That's where they measure the fat. Okay, and they measure the fat on a pig with one of these. It pushes into that slot. The man looks down there and gets the measurement, and then they write on there, they call this a slap mark, what the measurement is, the depth of the fat. So that's how they tell the depth of the fat. The fatter it is, the cheaper the pig should be. Okay? This is a nice pink white pig. It's nice and fresh, nice, clean and fresh. And it's what's called a gilt pig. It's a female pig that hasn't had litter. Okay? And one of the ways we can tell that is by the nipples on it. Can you see them nipples? Can you help me put it backwards that way? Yeah. That way. And we're going to turn him round, turn him right way round. That's it. Okay. Right. If this pig had had little piglets, then round the nipples that would have been all swollen up where the other pigs, where they suckle. Does that all make sense to you all? Yeah. Okay. Right. Any questions on that so far? All happy with that so far?
What's the difference between one that had little pigs and one that didn't? Like, does the meat
they keep the bigger. It's a bit stronger, and they use them for breeding. So a pig can have 3 litres a year. The gestation time is 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. So it's possible to have piglets 3 times a year. Okay. Right. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out. Have you heard of fillet steak? Yeah. Well, the bit I'm going to take out first, well, that's the kidney first of all. The bit I'm going to take out first of all is equivalent to the fillet steak. In a pig, it's called a tenderloin. Have you heard of tenderloin? Yeah. I suppose you do that in the kitchens, do you?
Yeah.
Let's take some of this fat off the top so we can see what we're doing. And the tenderloin lies in there. Can you see where it runs along there like that? Yeah? Okay? Oh, yeah. When you're butchering and chefing, because you lot are all training to be as chefs, aren't you? One thing that's very important is keep your knives nice and sharp. Makes your job so much easier. See, one keep nice and close to that bone. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Get right up to the muscle there. And that's our tenderloin, which I will trim up later on. We trim all this fat off later on, okay? Yep. The next thing we could remove is the leg.
Okay. Ham.
Sorry?
The ham.
You do make ham out of that, gammons. That's a gammon, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Go on, yeah?
What part of the pig do you use to make the bacon from?
The loin, I'll show you that when we get to it, yeah? Now we're going to cut the leg off. Now what we have to be careful when we're cutting the leg off is that there's a muscle there. Can you see this round muscle there? Yeah. Well, if I cut it straight across like that, I would cut that in half. Yeah. So we cut that at an angle so that we miss most of that muscle. So I'll pull that up. So can you see how it pulls that up out the way? Okay, okay, so I can do it. So you know, yeah, all I'm doing is pulling it out of the way. Yeah, so I cut that at an angle so that I miss that. Does that make sense to you? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Once again, nice sharp knife. When you're cutting the meat, you never saw the meat. Once you're through the bone, you stop sawing, then you get your knife again, put it into where you've sawn, a nice smooth cut. Okay? Got nice and smooth, got no jagged edges. Yeah? Yeah. Okay?
Why are you not supposed to saw through the meat?
Why does, say it again?
Why don't you saw through the meat?
Because it makes it all jaggedy. When you're displaying meat in a counter, you want a nice smooth surface. The reason being, it reflects the light, so it makes the meat look nice and juicy, yeah? I'm now going to take this fat out of the middle, here. This is called flare fat, F-L-A-I-R, flare, or leaf fat. What's it called?
Flare.
Or flare fat or leaf fat. Okay, there's two names there for that. Okay, right. I'm now going to take the front part of the pig off, the shoulder. Now I'm going to count 4 bones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah? And I'm going to cut through that joint there, through just halfway between that joint. Now if I've cut that correctly, I will have just caught the end of his shoulder blade, which is called the scapula. Once again, you see that I've stopped sawing once I went through the meat, through the bone.
So you're going to use the knife to cut out?
Yeah. Put a knife in there. Nice sharp knife right the way through. Okay, that's the shoulder part. Can you see there? I've just caught the end of the scapula. Yeah, just the end of the scapula there. Okay, and we'll process that a little bit more in a second. I'm now going to take off the belly from the loin. Okay. Now, your question about who said about bacon? But if we was doing bacon, we would cut it, leaving a longer rib bone. Because if you know on bacon, you get like an end piece, don't you? So if I was doing it for bacon, I would sort of cut it here, so that left me a longer, I would sort of cut it across like that. So it left me a longer bone there. So it's got a tail on it, like what we call a tail. But because it's chopped, we cut it a bit higher up, because we don't want a great big long end piece, yeah? I'm going to take this skirt out first of all. Now with a pig, we never mind how much we trim up, because we make our own sausages here, as you know, and we get a good price. So none of this gets wasted. It's all nice meat. You can see it's lovely meat, and that's what ends up in our sausages. Okay, I'll put that there. I'm going to trim all that out in a minute. Now start at the end of the chump there. I'm going to come up come along the bone like that, just marking it so I know where I'm cutting. Is there another saw over there? Anywhere? Lovely, thank you, Tar. See if that's any better. Right, now what we've got now, that's the belly of pork. You know the belly of pork, where you get the strips off? You can roll or stuff it. Rolled stuffed belly of pork, very nice.
Isn't this for the pork chop?
This is for the pork chops, yeah. Okay. I'm going to take the chump off first of all. This is a chump. You've heard of chump chops? Heard of chump chops? Heard of rump steak?
Yes.
In beef, that's the same as, that's in beef, that will be your rump, yeah?
Oh.
Okay. And what I've done, I've cut that off, so I've just missed that bone there. You just feel that, can you feel, just miss that bone?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. That bone is called the ilium. The ilium.
To make the whole rack,
Sorry?
if you wanted to make the whole back of the pork, what's it called, chops, you could have do that, right?
Yes, you could go right away from. Just doing this to show you that we're doing chops out of it, really. You're the brave one, standing right in front. Could you just grab me one of them black trays out of that counter, please?
So are we gonna remove the ribs?
We're not going, no, not on these ones, no. That's a nice pork chops there, yeah?
Yeah.
Look nice, you could eat them for your dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just put these over here as we've done it out of the way. I'm going to bone the chump out. So next week we might get one of each of the, one of one of these each for you to do.
Nice.
Now you see I've taken this bone out separate to that bone, two separate bones.
Yeah.
This bone is called the sacrum.
Sacrum.
The sacrum, S-A.
Sacrum.
Sacrum, yeah, sacrum. Well, some people call it sacrum, sacrum, same sort of thing. Okay, that's a bone out of that one. Just take a little bit of meat out of there that I left in there. You mustn't waste anything when you're cutting meat up. If you know, it can all be utilised. Anything you throw in the bin is a waste of profit. Yeah, you're wasting your profit. So, okay. Now I'm going to take this flat bone out now. Now this bone is called the ilium. Can you hear that scraping noise as my knife's going down? That's because I'm getting close to the bone, yeah? Okay, there's 2 bones out of there. Now what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to trim this up. I'm going to take the ends off like that. Once again, as I said, all this stuff is going to be trimmed up for sausages, like we trim it all out for the sausages. Have you all tried our sausages? And what do you think? Good?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Way better than the bulk ones.
Eh?
Way better than the ones you buy.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
Well, you can see the type of meat we put in our sausages, can't you? So, okay. Well, I've taken the fat off of that one, okay. And this we're going to make some nice pork steaks out of. Could you grab me another black tray, please? Once again, nice sharp knife and nice smooth cuts. Why do we want smooth cuts?
so that it will reflect the light.
Well, that's it, reflects the light, that's it. Do they look nice?
Yeah.
So if you was cooking them, what would you serve them with?
Apple sauce.
Ooh, lovely. Baked potatoes and apple sauce. Ooh, lovely, nice, yeah? That's the
What
fat.
do you do with the extra excess fat?
We put a little bit of fat in our sausage. You have to. You put a bit of fat in a sausage to keep it moist. If you make it all solid lean, you find it's a bit dry, and people say it's gristly, but it's not gristly. It's because you're chewing meat. Right, now what I'm going to show you now, I'm going to take out the Chinese ribs. You know Chinese ribs? You like the ribs in Chinese sauce?
Spare ribs.
Spare ribs,
Yeah.
Chinese spare ribs, yeah? Going down to that seam there. Can you see the seam I've gone down to?
Yeah.
Because we like to leave quite a bit of meat on our ribs. Some people cut it right tight to the bone. The fish and chip shops like it cut tight to the bone because then they're not giving so much away. But for us selling in the shop, we like to have ours nice and meaty. And once again, it's all about nice smooth cuts. We won't have time to show you today, but last week Christina, you all know Christina, don't you, Christina? She rolled these and You done it with a lattice bacon, Chris, didn't you? And then, right, that's our Chinese ribs. So you see, nice and meaty. Yeah. I need another couple more trays. If bring a few over. That's it. Well done. I'll find my back here. That's it. Okay, so there's our Chinese ribs. What we can do is we could cut them between the bones like that, or you can sell. Most people buy the rack as it is, but we do also cut them like that, and then we can do them in a Chinese sauce. Yeah. Okay. That's our racks of ribs. Level that end up there. All this stuff I'm going to trim out the lean, fat and lean layer, but you don't want to stand and watch me doing that because that's you'll fall asleep otherwise, won't you? Okay. I always take this piece here off where the nipples are, because not everybody. Some people are a little bit funny about eating that part of the animal, that part, you know, because I don't know why, but. You know, we've all got some strange ways, haven't we? Okay. Right, and what we would do, we would score this. Do you know what scoring is?
Yeah.
It's, you're literally just cutting through the skin. You're not cutting too deep. You're just enough to open it up like that. Can anybody tell me the reasons we do that?
So that the skin becomes crispy.
Yes. Yes. Right, now the main reason for doing it is because if you left it flat like that, the heat's not going to penetrate too good, and also the fat won't come out. By doing that, it allows the heat to go in and the fat to render out, and your crackling to get crispy. Yeah? Now what we would do is probably stuff that and roll it up as a joint like that, yeah? We either put stuffing in it, or did you stuffed it last week, didn't you? Done stuffing in it, yeah.
What's that called?
That's the belly pork, the belly, yeah. See, when it's rolled up, it looks like that, yeah? Nice. That's a lovely, tasty bit of meat that is. Takes a bit longer cooking than, say, your leg of pork, but it's a nice cut of pork. Right. The next one we're going to do, we're going to do the shoulder. Okay. I'm going to start by taking his little foot off. His trotter. Do any of you watch Fools and Horses?
No.
The Trotter family.
Oh.
That's it, we finally wanted to give in. That's one trotter. And take some of that rubbish off the top there, that blood. That's only when they slaughter a pig, they cut the jugular vein, and you sometimes get a bit of blood around this area there. So we take that out of the way. Now I'm going to separate this into two halves. Now turning it around this way, now there's a joint between these two, which is called a ball and socket joint, okay? The ball side is that side like that, the socket side is a socket side like that, which allows the shoulder to move about, okay?
Our shoulder joint.
So exactly the same.
So that makes it like rotate, right?
Yes, so you can rotation. It's a rotation joint, well done. Okay. Now, we find that joint from this side here, because this side here is going to be mostly manufacturing. If I try trying to find that joint from that side, I'm going to be cutting into the expensive meat. Yeah. So we go from this side and find the joint from this side, first of all. Then when I've found that joint, it should be there, hopefully. I open it right up. Okay, so I've now opened that, you see I've opened that joint right up?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so I now know where I'm cutting. I'm going to turn it round now. Get into that, where that joint is. And once again, I'm holding it nice and solid, nice sharp knife, and doing it in one cut. Okay, so we've got a nice smooth. I'm now going to I'm going to do the, this is where I'm on edge, yeah. I always say this is the hardest thing to take out on a pig, is taking a blade bone of pork out, okay. Oh, this is called a neck end when it's to that stage. So I've split the shoulder, you've got a hand and thick end of belly. And this is called the neck end, which consists of the blade bone and the English spare ribs, okay? Now I need you all to hold your breath when I do this. Spot on, never doubted myself at all. And what I've done there, I've taken that out, and what happens quite often is you catch this bone at the end. If you feel just there, there's a bone just under there.
Yeah.
All right, can you feel just there, just a bone? Just there. And yeah, and that's what I've done, was try to miss that, because if you cut into that, it doesn't look very nice, does it? I'll take this fat off the top. Just trim him up a little bit so it looks a bit respectable for the window. And put that on the tray, put it on the counter. And now we've got, this is at the neck end. I'm going to take some of this fat off of this. This is the English spare ribs. The other ones were your Chinese spare ribs. These ones off of your neck are your English spare ribs. Okay, that's going to be fat. Now these take a little bit more cooking. With your loin chop, you can fry them, do them in the oven, grill them. With these, they really need doing in the oven. Okay. Christina does hers in the slow cooker. Yeah. And have you heard of pulled pork?
Yeah.
Pulled pork.
Yeah.
Well, this one and that blade bone are ideal for doing pulled pork with long, slow cooking, yeah? Okay, that's our English spare ribs. Okay. You remember all the names of these, won't you? Because I'm going to question them later on. Yeah. Right, we're now going to take. Let's put these buttons that way. I'm now going to take off. We're going to split this into two parts. Do you remember what this was called?
The bottom end of the shoulder arm.
The hand. Okay, and this was the. What part of the belly?
The heart.
The thick part. Well done. They were good clues I gave you there, weren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the hand of pork. Okay, nice, yeah. It's quite a cheap cut because it's got a lot of bone in that. Okay, it takes a lot of slow cooking. Okay, this is the thick end of belly. Okay, which is really nice, and I always say that is the tastiest bit of pork on the belly. Really nice. Let's put those. Okay, we'd put them in the window, something similar to that, you know. So when you're showing anything to the customer, as a butcher, not as a chef, you're showing them all the nice meat side of it. You wouldn't stick it on the counter sort of like that. Yeah. You know, it's about attracting people to buy. Yeah. Right. The last thing we're going to do is it's the leg.
The leg,
well,
yeah.
you can make ham. You do make ham out of it at Gammon, yeah. That's his other trotter, that's a hind quarter trotter, yeah? Some chefs are skinning these off and stuffing them with like a mousseline of some sort, chicken or something, and baking them off. I don't know if you've seen that done. I tried boning one out a little while ago, it took me ages. So I've given up on that idea. So, I'm going to take this bone out first of all. This is called his H-bone. It's the correct name for it is the ischium. Sorry, can you see that? I'm just taking that there, yeah? Just taking this bone out there.
Would you consider that as a ball and socket too?
Yes,
Yeah.
can you see that? Yeah. And there's a ligament just holds them two together. Can you see that in there? Yeah. I'm going to take that bone out. Look at that meat. Oh, no, there's not a lot of meat left on there. That's good. Not too bad a job. Okay, so we take that. Now I'm now going to remove that muscle. Do you remember that muscle I said we want to try to keep whole? I didn't want to cut through it. We're going to take that off now. So I just laid the crackling back on. I haven't taken it off, I just laid it back. Now what we're going to do, we're going to do what they call seam butchery now. Now if you look closely, can you see that there's different seams there? You can see a seam there, can you see that one there?
Yeah.
And there's another one there. This is the end of the tenderloin. Yeah, that tenderloin we took out first, that's the end of it there. So I'm going to go in that seam there. I'm going to follow that seam all the way down till it hits that bone there, which is his femur. Yeah.
Femur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about the femur?
Not really.
It's supposedly the biggest bone in the body. So if you break it, you know you've done a lot of damage. What I'm trying to do is follow that seam down without actually cutting into the muscle of the meat. Can you see what I'm following the seam? Can you see that? I'm following the seam as opposed to cutting into the meat.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get nice and tight into that bone because there's a membrane, excuse me, that holds the muscle to the bone. And that's called the periosteum. Periosteum. Which is Latin for peri means round, osteum is the bone. Okay. See, not just butchery, you're learning. I only learned that myself last week. One of our students who does a part-time course, she studies Latin.
What was it called again? I already forgot the name.
Periosteum. Okay, and that's called the top rump, or some people call it the thick. The thick, yeah, thick flank. You can take that off the top there. I'm going to ask Christina, my tutor colleague, if she could bring me the red string over, Chris. So, this is Christina. She's a fellow tutor at the butchery section. We work together. Keeps us out of mischief. Right. What I'm going to do with that, I'm going to just wrap that fat over the top. So when that cooks, that melts down very quickly, this fat, okay? We use this red string because it looks nice, but we don't actually like it because it blunts your knife very quickly because of the nylon in it. We prefer that. You know, the white string that you use in the kitchens, we prefer that to this. But it does look nice, does it, with a red colour on it. Have we got any questions yet while I'm doing this?
It might be complicated. How do you exactly do the
like
pie?
really slow so we can see?
I'm doing it slow so you can follow it. That is slow.
That's
Like that.
Okay.
Yeah?
So you double knot then?
Let me try.
Can't really explain it. Yeah.
Yeah, we love that.
But when I tie that up, I'll show you. I'll go a bit slower.
Didn't expect that slow.
There you go. And that's a nice little joint of muscle of pork, yeah? I'm going to need another couple more trays if you wouldn't mind, please, yeah. Okay. Now, if you was doing this as, oh, thank you. If you was doing this as a gammon, boning that out, this part here would be the gammon. They call that the horseshoe gammon. Have you heard of that before?
Horseshoe, no.
Because it's shaped like a horseshoe, like when you cut it through.
Ooh, that's a big femur.
Yeah. Can you see that?
Yeah.
The bone that runs right way through there, yeah? Okay.
Huge.
Now we're splitting this into two different cuts. The first piece I'm taking out is called the top side. See, once again I'm going down the seam, I'm not actually cutting into the meat, yeah, see that, yeah?
So these are two separate muscles.
Sorry?
Two separate muscles.
Yes, yeah, this is what they call seam cutting. It's different to how we used to cut it in the old days when I was a boy, back when Noor had his ark. They call this is like continental type of butchery. Seam that in France and that they do it all this way, cutting through the seams, and it's good because it allows you to remove any fats or gristles that are inside the muscles. In the old days, we used to just cut that straight away through.
How long have you been butchering?
I've been butchering for 58 years.
Okay.
I don't look old enough, do I?
Really not.
Okay. Now that's the top side. Oops, sorry. That's the top side, okay. Now, if you can see there's got quite a lot of gristle and sort of fat veins and that there. I will trim them out. I'm not going to bore you with trimming them all out, but I will trim all that out. And once it's trimmed out, there's a gland in the middle there as well, which is called the popliteal. But what I'm going to do is I'm now going to cut this muscle here off. Can you see where that seam is? There, can you see that? I'm going to cut that seam off there, like that. Just straighten that up. So I never worry about how much I trim pork because we get good money for sausages and we make a good sausage. And you can imagine that's good quality meat going in our sausage, yeah? And with this now, I can either roll it up as a joint, or once again, we could cut it as steaks, see, nice steaks, yeah? And what we do a lot of now is we do, which is Christina's favourite, we do like these in sticky maple syrup. And nowadays there's quite, I don't like the sound of it personally, I've never tried it, but it doesn't appeal to me, but she said it's very nice. Okay, so I can put that so far so good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a question. Where's the pork medallions?
You can get them out the leg, out the leg. I could show you. I'll show you some in a second if you like. Yeah. Okay. You could do medallions out of your tenderloin. Yeah, you can do medallions out of that. Or out part of this is called the salmon cuts. Salmon as in fish. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it because it looks like the salmon fillet? I mean, you know what I mean?
Well, that's what they say, but to be honest with you, I can't see it, but they do say that. I'll show you it in a minute, and then you can tell me if you think it looks like a salmon. Sometimes you sort of wonder where some of the names come from. You know, some of them make sense,
Some doesn't.
and some you think, well, who thought of that name? Yeah, you think. I'm going to take the femur out, first of all. I'm going to separate that. Cutting through that joint there is called the stifle joint. The stifle, the actual joint that holds them two together is called the stifle joint. Now see all that meat I've left on there, look. If you do that, yeah, roast for the weekend. If you do that on your test, when we test you, you'd get a foul. Okay, so that's putting you under pressure.
You know, just scrape your off edges, but then...
Yeah, if I'm not looking, do that, yeah. But I'm always looking. And if I'm not, Christina is. So we like a double act, you see, and you don't get away with nothing. Right, now this one here is called the tibia and fibula. It's two separate bones. On a lamb and on beef, these two bones are fused together. They're stuck together. You can't separate them. On a pig, they're separate. There you go, that's the tibia. Didn't make a very good job of that. Okay, yeah, that's one bone. And the other one lays just underneath it. Can you see? That's one end of it there, and that's the other end of it there. Lays underneath that meat there. Just go take that out.
It's like the one drumstick in a chicken.
Different part. But now, back in Roman times, this bone here they used to use as a spoon. Yeah, I'll show you why in a second. In the history of butchery, now don't hold me to this because different people got different ideas. They say the first signs of butchery was in America, and have you heard of an animal called a sloth?
Yeah.
Yeah, a sloth. It moves very slowly through the trees. It's got big claws. It was that and a turtle. That was the first two things they found that have been actually butchered by a butcher. But then when you think about it, you go back, they must have butchered the dinosaurs, mustn't they?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Now, as I say, they used to use these as a spoon. Because can you see how it's got like a little, sort of like, it looks like a little...
Oh, yeah, I see it.
I wonder if there's other cutleries inside.
You know, you can make knives out of bones as well.
And I know that.
That's all your Christmas presents sorted out, isn't it? Right. I'm going to take this muscle out here. Now this is another strange one. They call this the mouse. The mouse muscle.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, yeah.
Does it?
Yeah,
Why that way?
Why?
sarcasm.
Oh. I thought he was being genuine.
I'm not over that.
Okay, right. Now we're going to now level that up. Now all this can be trimmed out all this is going to be trimmed out to make sausages out of, yeah? And we trim that out very carefully when we do that. We make sure there's no fat, no gristle. See where you see they've got blood marks in, we take all this out, so none of that goes in our sausage. The only meat that goes in our sausages is like the meat like that, yeah? And we're very particular about that. In here, just in this bit here, is a gland. Did anyone take any notice what I said the gland was called? I might have told you, the popliteal. It's called the popliteal. On a pig it's very small, you can see it more on lambs and on beef. It's a very, I can't see it myself. Just there. Can you see that? Just that little bit there, yeah. So we always take that and make sure we take that out. Okay, right, we're going to take this, and see this, that's what we call blood meat as well, so we would remove that before making sausages as well. Right, I'm just going to take this little muscle at the top here off as well. Right, now the next bit I'm going to take out is, can you see this muscle that runs separate along there? Yeah. Okay. This here is called the silver side. We call that a silver side. It's called a silver side because, can you see that gristle there? It's a silvery colour, yeah? That muscle there is what they call the salmon cut. Okay, so we're going to take that salmon cut out.
Looks like a salmon.
If you think it looks like a salmon, you're a better man than I am. Could you imagine that? No?
No. I thought you were talking about the other one that was thin and was thicker there and then go thinner.
This one?
Not this
no,
one.
all right.
This
Right.
one belly.
Okay. Now you said about medallions.
Yep.
Was it medallions? So,
Here we go.
there you go. Yeah?
Yeah.
Das ist gut.
Here's something like a salmon. Oh, it's pork.
Nice in the window? Yeah. Okay. Right, so we're on to our last bit now. The last bit, I'm not going to bore you trimming that out. You'll know how I trim all that out. We'll get on to your next lesson. When we do this, we'll be doing sausage making with you next time. So you can... we teach you how to put a sausage recipe together, you know, how to work it out, what fat and lean you need and what other stuff goes in them. And so you'll learn all about trimming this out. Now can you see there's a gristle runs down the middle there? Yeah. And what I was saying to you about seam cutting is that allows us to take that gristle out. So took that gristle out, yeah? Put that over there. And I'm now going to take that gristle off the side here, this silver gristle. So what I'm doing, I'm removing stuff that's not going to be pleasant to eat. The very fine stuff, the very thin stuff, that's okay to leave that in there because that will break down in cooking. And when that breaks down in cooking, any of you got any idea what that turns into?
Turns into like oil sauce.
Yes. What goes in pork pies? What makes the jelly? Have you heard of gelatine?
Yeah.
Okay. And you get a lot of gelatine out of these. Yeah. And that makes, you boil them up and that makes a nice jelly in the pie because you've got a nice bit of flavour there, you know? Right, we're on to our last bit now. We'll level that up there. Level that up there. We can score the crackling. What did that stamp tell us? Do you remember?
That it's been checked and
It's good for human consumption.
Well done. Okay. And where do they do that? Do they do it in the shop?
in the
That's all.
Robert.
Well, before that, it was.
Right, okay. And we're going to tie this up as a joint. I'm going to do it nice and slow so you can see the knot, yeah? Now you thought that was fast when I was tying it up just now, didn't you?
Yeah.
There was a man that worked here with us, who's now retired, who could tie it up twice or 3 times quicker than that. Right, hold the string knot together, go like that so it stays straight underneath. Bring it together like that, yeah? Then I'll hold it there. So I've got my finger under there so I'll make a loop. Go once, twice, and then bring it up from underneath and push it through that hole. Okay, and that makes your slip knot. Then you bring it up and bring it down, and that slips. You can get it as tight as you like now. And then what you do to tie it off, just wrap round your 2 fingers, get hold of that, and pull it through, and that stops it coming undone. Yeah. Okay, got all that?
Yeah.
I'll carry on doing it slower so you can see. Yeah.
That's quick.
Christina's quicker than that, aren't you, Christina?
You can see Christina on the go after.
Eh?
You can see Christina on the go.
No, I don't want her to embarrass me. I ain't gonna.
You've done all the hard work. She wouldn't embarrass you.
And the reason we cut this leg into different joints, I should have told you this as we was going along, is it allows us to cut smaller joints for the customer. Now, not everybody wants a great big leg of pork. You always keep the bits of string clear away from it because you don't want them to end up inside your joints of meat, yeah? That's always keep your block nice and clear. I'm going to level that bit there up. There you go, and that's a nice bit of old leg of pork, yeah? And we can cut that sort of any size the customer wants. And by taking out in the separate muscles, you've not got no bits and pieces in the middle of it. I'm actually going to show you how to do that, yeah? What it's like inside. Oh, I've cut the string, I think. Yeah? Yeah, nice. Okay. I've just got to trim out that tenderloin and this is a tenderloin.
Yeah.
We take the back off here, which is called the chain. Yeah?
Chain.
The chain, yeah, chain. Put it off the top of there like that. Now when the customer buys this, we give them the choice if they want me to take that silver skin off. Some people like it left on, but okay, and that's our tenderloin. Okay.
About this cut of meat, is it like
But what? Sorry.
the most expensive cut of meat from pork?
This is, yeah, because you only get 2 of those on a pig, and as you see, it's quite small. Yeah, it's quite small. Okay, put
Which
that-
one is the best part of the pig?
The thick underbelly.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely the tastiest. Not everybody agrees, but I think it's nice, yeah? And people buy these trotters, we sell quite a lot of those, yeah? So that's the end of the demonstration. Is there any questions? No? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, yes.
Good. So you'll be prepared. If I give you a side of pork next week, you're going to be...
Yeah.
Good.
yeah, sure. We will know what to
Learn
do,
more than the
but
others.
yeah, we'll know what to do.
No, it's good. It's good. And then you know now when you go back into the kitchen and you start cooking this, how nice it is. Well done. Yeah, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.